Hello everyone, welcome to Tennis Fan Video. After her early exit from the Mutua Madrid Open, Eala resumes her build-up for the French Open when she sees action in the Internazionale Biennale d'Italia, popularly known as the Italian Open, from May 5th to 17th at the Foro Italico in Rome, Italy. With the Madrid Open, a WTA 1000 meet, still ongoing, Eala, 20, maintained her number 44 ranking in the Women's Tennis Association World Ratings yesterday after reaching a personal best of number 29 last March. She needs to rise higher in the standings if she wants to gain a favorable draw in the world's premier Grand Slam clay court tournament, the French Open, scheduled May 18th to June 7th at the famed Roland Garros in Paris, France. Being in the top 32 of the ratings once the French Open comes around will allow the Pine ace to avoid going up with the top guns early. The Italian Open, another WTA 1000 competition, should provide the feisty Filipina left-hander the workout she needs to hone her clay court skills. The tournament will serve as a preview for the French Open, with the top 10 in the WTA rankings, led by world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka of Belarus, the top seed, featured in the 128-player main draw. Kazakh and reigning Australian Open queen Elena Rybakina is seeded number 2, American Coco Gauff, number 3, Pole Iga Swiatek, number 4, Americans Jessica Pegula and Amanda Anisimova, numbers 5 and 6, respectively, Ukrainian Elena Svitolina, number 7, Russian Mira Andreeva, number 8, defending Italian champion Jasmine Paolini, number 9, and Canadian Coco Gauff, number 10. The competition is actually a joint WTA-ATP tournament, with defending men's Italian Open champion Carlos Alcaraz of Spain withdrawing from the meet because of a wrist injury that also forced him to drop out of the French Open. Eala should be doubly inspired that his Spanish idol mentor, Rafael Nadal, was a 10-time Italian Open king from 2005 to 2021, the most by any player in the men's and women's divisions. As a scholar of the Clay Court Maestros Tennis Academy in Mallorca, Spain, she described her relationship with the Spanish ace in an interview with the WTA website during her stint in the Madrid Open. "I've spoken to him, Nadal, quite a bit, but every time I see him, he still makes me nervous," answered Eala. "Just because he's a guy who has done so many things in his life on and off the court, he's a super inspirational guy. That's why he was my total idol. To be able to play with him and the first one after he retired, it was super special because it was also my first training session with him." Eala resumes build up for French Open. A rising star returns to the red clay stage. In the world of tennis, momentum is everything, but timing is just as important. For Eala, the young Filipina prodigy who has steadily carved her name into the global tennis conversation, the clay court season is not just another stretch of tournaments. It is a proving ground. It is a rehearsal for greatness. And now, as she resumes her build-up toward the French Open, all eyes are once again turning toward a player whose journey is beginning to feel less like a promise and more like a coming reality. A crucial phase in the season. The French Open, held at Roland Garros in Paris, is the most physically demanding Grand Slam on the calendar. Clay courts slow the ball, extend rallies, and test patience, endurance, and tactical intelligence more than raw power. For a developing player like Eala, this surface is not just a challenge, it is an education. Her return to competitive build-up events signals a carefully planned progression. Instead of rushing into high-pressure matches without rhythm, her camp has prioritized structured preparation, training blocks, selective tournament participation, and focused adaptation to clay movement. Every step is intentional. Every match is a data point. For Eala, this phase is about sharpening edges rather than chasing headlines. Learning the language of clay. Clay is often described as a thinking surface. Unlike hard courts, where aggressive shot-making can end points quickly, clay demands construction. Points are built like chess moves, patiently, strategically, and often with multiple layers of deception. Eala's game, already known for its discipline and maturity beyond her years, fits naturally into this environment. Her baseline consistency, defensive resilience, and willingness to extend rallies give her a foundation that translates well to red dirt. But adaptation is never automatic. The slide on clay, subtle yet critical, must become instinctive. Shot selection must evolve. Topspin becomes a weapon rather than an option. And patience, often underestimated in younger players, becomes the most valuable skill of all. Her recent training emphasis has reportedly focused heavily on movement drills, point construction patterns, and endurance conditioning, key ingredients for success in Paris. Building after setbacks and adjustments. Every young athlete experiences fluctuations in form, and Eala is no exception. The transition between surfaces, travel schedules, and rising expectations can create inevitable dips in rhythm. But what defines promising careers is not the absence of setbacks, it is the response to them. Instead of allowing inconsistency to define her trajectory, Eala has used each challenge as recalibration. Her team has worked to refine decision-making under pressure, particularly in tight third sets where matches often swing on mental endurance rather than technical superiority. In this context, her French Open build-up becomes more than preparation. It becomes a reset button. A chance to reconnect with fundamentals. A chance to rebuild rhythm point by point. A chance to step into Roland Garros not as a newcomer hoping to survive, but as a competitor ready to compete. The physical demands of the clay season. Unlike the fast-paced hard-court swing, clay demands longer matches and heavier physical output. Sliding into shots repeatedly places unique stress on the lower body, particularly knees and hips. Recovery becomes as important as training. Eala's physical preparation has reportedly been structured around 3 key pillars. Endurance conditioning to sustain long baseline rallies. Explosive lateral movement to improve defensive coverage. Recovery optimization to maintain freshness across tournaments. This holistic approach reflects a modern understanding of tennis development. It is no longer enough to simply hit more balls. Elite progression requires intelligent workload management. For a young player still growing into her full physical frame, this balance is especially critical. The mental game, quiet confidence. What separates rising prospects from future champions is often invisible to spectators. It is not just forehands or backhands. It is composure under pressure, clarity in decision-making, and emotional control during momentum swings. Eala has consistently been praised for her mental maturity. Even in difficult matches, she shows an ability to reset between points, to avoid visible frustration spirals, and to maintain tactical discipline. As she builds toward the French Open, this mental stability will be tested more than ever. Clay courts reward patience but punish hesitation. Players must commit fully to their strategies, even when rallies stretch and opportunities seem delayed. For younger athletes, that patience is often the final barrier to elite consistency. Eala's development in this area may ultimately determine how far she progresses in Paris. The significance of the French Open stage. Roland Garros is more than just another tournament. It is a stage where legends are forged. From Rafael Nadal's dominance to unexpected breakthrough runs by rising stars, the French Open has always been a place where narratives shift dramatically. For Eala, participation itself is part of a larger journey, but performance is where perception changes. Even early round matches can serve as critical learning experiences against seasoned opponents who thrive on clay. Each rally becomes exposure. Each set becomes adaptation. Each match becomes a stepping stone. The key is not just entry, it is evolution. Tactical evolution, what fans should watch. As Eala enters her final preparation phase, several tactical elements will be closely observed. Depth control, keeping the ball deep to prevent opponents from dictating play. Spin variation, using topspin to push opponents behind the baseline. Transition timing, choosing when to move forward and finish points. Serve placement, especially important on slow surfaces where aces are rarer. Defensive to offensive shifts, turning defense into counterattack opportunities. These are not flashy elements, but on clay, they define success. Her ability to blend patience with aggression, knowing when to absorb pressure and when to accelerate, will be central to her performance arc. The weight of expectations. As Eala's profile continues to rise, expectations naturally follow. Fans from the Philippines and the broader tennis community have begun to see her as part of a new generation of global contenders. But expectations can be both fuel and burden. The key challenge in this build-up phase is maintaining internal focus rather than external pressure. Tennis at its highest level is often decided by the player who can best manage distractions, not just on court, but off it. Her team's approach appears grounded in keeping the process simple. Train well, compete smart, recover properly, and let results follow preparation. A broader narrative: the rise of Asian tennis talent. Eala's journey also fits into a larger global shift. Asian tennis has been steadily producing elite-level talent across both men's and women's circuits. From Grand Slam champions to consistent top 50 players, the region is no longer emerging. It is established. Within this context, Eala represents the next wave: young, technically skilled, globally trained, and increasingly confident on the biggest stages. The French Open becomes not just a personal milestone, but part of a broader narrative of representation and progression. Final phase before Paris. As the build-up continues, every practice session takes on added meaning. Sparring sets become simulations. Conditioning drills become investments. Tactical meetings become blueprints. There is no sudden transformation at this stage of a season, only refinement. Eala's path toward Roland Garros is not defined by dramatic changes, but by incremental improvements stacked over time. And that is often how champions are made. Conclusion: a journey still unfolding. Alex Eala's return to her French Open build-up marks another chapter in a career still in its early but rapidly developing stages. She is no longer simply a prospect to watch. She is a competitor learning how to sustain excellence across surfaces, seasons, and expectations. Clay will test her patience. It will test her endurance. It will test her tactical intelligence and emotional resilience. But it will also offer something invaluable: clarity. Because on the red clay of Paris, every player is stripped down to fundamentals. There are no shortcuts. Only construction, persistence, and belief. And as Eala steps back into this environment, her journey continues, not as a finished story, but as one still being written, point by point, match by match, and season by season. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time.